Hello and welcome back to our A to Z of van life series, where we answer all of your van life and van build related questions. So if you do have any more questions for us, then comment section is down below, ask them and we'll do a video on them. And
so this week we're going to be doing a video all about van life essentials.
Yeah, this is a rather highly requested topic from you guys. However, it's one that's not that easy to answer. What essentials that any of us need in life are mostly down to personal choice of how you choose to live your lifestyle, because basically the only real essentials in life are for you to have food, water and shelter. We have a very, very low bar for essentials here in this household. So like for water, for example, you need a container that can hold liquid. That could be just water bottles. It could be those bulky tube thingies with a filtration system, you know, the tap.
Yeah, or it could be a fully fledged, you know, like essentially like a house water system. You have a tank, you have a pump, you have an accumulator, hot and cold water.
The whole
shebang.
Yeah. For food, you can start with just dehydrated hiker's food, astronaut food, whatever you want there. Takeaway, pre-cooked food. You can be just cooking and warming up stuff on one single camping stove, those 9-pound ones.
You could live on baked beans.
Or that. Or you could do the whole oven, multiple hobs, temp pans, you know, gourmet kitchen style thing, or anywhere in between. For shelter, well,
I mean, as long as your van doesn't leak, right?
Yep. So my essential recommendation for shelter is cover all the holes in your van structure so there's no leakages, and I would recommend that you insulate. But that is what is honestly an essential.
So thank you very much for tuning into this week's video, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Basically, how we're gonna interpret this question is, what is an essential for us, in the sense that if we were to do another van, what will we transplant over? What will we duplicate?
In van 2.0, what would we do exactly the same? So what have we written on our list? We made a list because we're going to forget.
It's a list. It's a list.
Lists are vital.
Yeah, because as you can see, we digress.
Right, what's the first thing on the list, list master?
Jetboil.
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 Excellent.
Okay.
I'll go and get it.
This is actually a really good practical essential. It's not a wacky one. So a Jetboil is actually one of our most prized possessions. We've had it for as long as
8 years now.
Yeah, so just about the length of our relationship. Maybe, I think we've been together 9 years, maybe 10. I'm not sure.
Symbol of our relationship.
In all seriousness, okay, a Jetboil is essentially a super powered gas burning stove thingy. Okay, yes. It's a burner. Okay,
it's a burner. You put the water in there, you run it on gas canisters, big or small, and it boils about 1 litre of water in 1.5 minutes.
That is an absolute essential, because it's just, Sam loves tea. He drinks like 4 or 5 cups a day. Imagine if we needed to boil that on the stove or an electric kettle.
Yeah.
Like,
the electric kettles are not quick enough, and as you know, in a van,
I'm not quick enough. I need my tea. I need my tea.
You do imagine a 3 kilowatt kettle in a van. That's going to be a hefty inverter and a lot of power multiple times a day for tea. These gas canisters, the big ones, last us about 1 to 2 months, and that's me having multiple cups of tea every day. We boil water in here for veg, for pasta, for soups, for other things. Like, we use it to cook
also, another thing we use it for is to warm up water for our shower, because as some of you may know, we haven't plumbed in our shower yet. It's coming. Okay.
It's coming.
Relax. It's okay. I know you really want it. We actually use this with our bucket and camping shower system to literally takes 20 seconds to heat up the water, because we don't wash with boiling water. We just need to heat it up to a nice temperature, and then you do that 5 times for 5 liters of water for your shower,
and you have your 5 litre warm shower ready to go.
And it's just much easier than getting out the other camping, like the camping gas stoves or the barbecue, to then boil your liters of water to then put it in the bucket. This is just really efficient. So a Jetboil is actually a huge recommendation. Everybody should have a Jetboil. I'm not sponsored, by the way.
Jetboil.
So
I'd say the next thing that is an essential for us is the underfloor heating.
I know.
Does that make us spoiled? Probably, yes it does. But in the
comment section, you spoiled little children!
I survived winter in Scotland with nothing but a candle and a blanket.
I don't think a candle would be one of them. I think just a sleeping bag. But yes.
I don't care. In terms of what I would build in a van again, I would build the underfloor heating. I'll build it better. We have some ideas. Always. But I would build it again.
We love our heated floor. I think it creates a very nice ambient temperature in the van, so especially if you're going for really winter van life.
Yep. Which we will be come next year.
Yes, in the next few months. So that will be very exciting. Hopefully that works out well. But essentially, winter van life, when you need proper kind of insulation, you are in a tin can. So anything that you can do to boost your insulation up, or like R value up, or whatever it is, then it's a bonus.
Yeah. So underfloor heating. Totally recommended.
Speaking of the underfloor heating, the next best thing that we absolutely adore in a van is more to do with how we built the van, and that is the ample floor space that we managed to get in our van. So I absolutely think that an essential for me is to have a lot of floor space. Even in our camper van in New Zealand, which was a 7-seater wagon car, okay, it barely counts as a van. Hold on, guys. Excuse, the sun decided to pop itself out for the first day in days. Continue. Yeah, continue.
Curtains, essential.
Actually, yes. I'll tell you about the curtains later.
But yes, so the 7-seater car that we had in New Zealand, half of it was taken up by a table at the back, which was holding the majority of our storage, but the bit at the front was just carpeted floor space.
Yeah,
which in a car is huge.
I do like my tiny spaces to be very spacious. So that means I really appreciate kind of multifunctional furniture and kind of clever bits and pieces and just kind of things being pushed away to the walls.
Which was our entire ethos behind building this van.
And floor space, I absolutely love being able to pass Sam, we can kind of whirling around doing our thing and not actually hitting each other. We don't have to be kind of, I love elbow space.
We can actually do yoga in the van.
Yeah,
we can actually
both of us, which
that's a stretch.
In that situation, you do sort of have to jigsaw puzzle yourself a bit, but you can still do it. Like two of you can do it. So because we're obviously doing van life full time at the moment, that is like a huge bonus. It makes life much more
pleasant.
Just normal. The only thing I can't really do in the van in terms of exercise is do jumps, because A, the ceiling is a bit low, and B, the suspension will not handle it.
No.
I'll definitely advocate when you're doing your layout design to really think about the space and how you want to move.
Exactly.
And to think about, is the bed space really the best use of that space or not? Like, you can do a fixed bed, you can do a half fixed bed, you can do a Murphy bed, you can do a lot of these different stuff that can actually preserve the floor space. And I'm like, yeah, if you can preserve it because it's awesome.
We rented a camper van in Scandinavia before we built this van for the entire purpose to figure out what we liked, what we didn't like about that van. And honestly, one of the things that we absolutely hated was the corridor. You have the fixed bed at the back, the kitchen on one side, the bathroom on the other side, and you had like the width of a person plus 10% to get past. Two of you can squeeze past each other side by side.
And kiss as you go.
For full-time living, that was nowhere near what we wanted.
Yeah.
And that was also partially the reason why we ended up sketching a lot of things very early on, and is one of the reasons why we actually developed the Sprinter Layout Planner, which by the way is one of our products, so I'll link it down in the description below. But essentially
there's actually a free template that you can grab as well to start with, and then you can upgrade to the full layout planner when you've picked your van. Yeah,
but essentially what this allows you to do is literally play around with hundreds of different designs, sketch them out, see how much floor space they take up, see if whether you think these would work or not, and it really got us in the mindset of we want the floor space in the van, so that's what we set out to do, and I do not regret it at all, and I would do it again.
Totally. Definitely. Yeah. So that's enough about the floor. My next favorite part, which by the way, it is an absolute essential in my opinion, is having a toilet. We absolutely love having our stirrable composting toilet that we did ourselves, and it's an absolute game changer. Any toilet in the van is a game changer,
because when we were in New Zealand in that car, we had no toilet.
There was nowhere to put it, and mind you, very weird stuff happened to your psyche when you know you don't have a toilet available all the time. You suddenly need to pee like every hour, and it's like, I don't need to pee this much usually, and it's just because you don't have a toilet. You kind of, your mind's always thinking about it, and you always feel like you need the toilet. At least that was me.
And then I guess it also makes you more dependent on services and less the ability to go off grid.
Yeah, like, I'm telling you, game changer when you wake up first thing in the morning and you don't have to stumble bleary-eyed outside, potentially in the freezing cold, to find a bush to relieve yourself. And hope it's only number one. A toilet is an essential. Actually, like the Jetboil, it's not like a luxurious essential. I feel like it's an essential. Because it's just, you need a toilet, people. Everybody poops and pees. You need a toilet. I don't know why I'm sounding so desperate.
It's okay, we have a toilet now.
It's a trauma.
It's okay. The other thing I would mention about toilets is we built a DIY composting toilet, and we have experienced a chemical toilet, again, in the rented camper van in Scandinavia that we did a couple of years ago. And again, the difference, I would choose composting over chemical every single time, because although we did go travelling, I guess, at the worst period for Scandinavia, where all the campsites were shutting, so we had nowhere to empty that chemical toilet.
Yeah, all the services in the north basically just started shutting.
Yeah, the thing about a chemical toilet is it has the word chemical in it, so you can't just go and dig a hole and pour it in said hole.
But we won't talk about how we dispose of that now. It's a different video.
Yeah.
Right, I've written cats, so yeah, cats are an essential for us. We only lasted 2 months without them before we got them in the van. So
would not give up cats.
Yeah, I highly recommend cats for van life. They are the best. I mean, I know dogs are also pretty good companions. But
pets, shall we say? Pets in general.
Do pets.
If you're a pet person, pets and van life.
Yeah. Yes, I'm fully aware it makes certain borders much more of a pain, but let's not get into that right now. Cats are an essential.
By the way, as a side note, if you want any type of videos about cats and van life, like in specific, leave your suggestions in the comments down below. Because, I mean, we have ideas, but it would be interesting to hear if you want to hear anything about that.
Yeah, please do, because, yeah. Going back to the essential of having space, even in your tiny home, I would say when you're in a couple or more in your tiny home, I feel like having 2 separate places to sit and exist, kind of 2 separate workstations, can be very, very beneficial. That's actually, I think, it's an essential for us in our layout designs, because for one, both of us can work simultaneously. Both of us can be talking at the same time on the phone, which, by the way, the cat door, the thing that can divide our van in two, can really help to kind of mute the sound as well.
Yeah, but essentially I can be sitting 4 meters away at the back of the van, and Polly can be sitting here on the couch at the very front, because this is where our seats are, and that's 4 meters apart, where we can each have kind of an independent workspace. I mean, of course, you could go even further, and one of us could go outside the van. But
in the rain, out. But in all seriousness, yes, you most likely love each other, but you'll probably start hating each other if you're glued together 24/7. So it's still nice to have some separation in your tiny home, and especially when you're trying to be productive and working, and maybe the other person is not in that mood, or is just doing something very loud. Some types very loud. He's like, shush. Okay, an essential is a big sink. Okay, this is what I put here.
Do you know why the essential is a big sink? Several reasons. Number one, you are lazy and don't want to do the washing up, and you need to drive somewhere. You dump all the washing up that's on the counter in the sink.
Or maybe it may not be washing up. It may be other bits and pieces that can get wet, and you just kind of chuck them in the sink.
Just throw them in the sink.
Just hide
put
them.
Put a board or a pillow on top, and then you can't see it. It won't fall out.
Well, realistically, the main reason is this, because you may be the type of person that is super neat, and as soon as you mess something up, you then fix it. But most of us are slobs, and we would prefer to just hide the mess until we're ready to deal with it.
And by ready to deal with it, meaning you run out of cutlery and plates and space in the sink to store the slobby stuff. So yeah.
Okay, we're not quite that bad, but we do.
There are days.
There are days.
There are days.
I'm sure you're familiar with them. So I definitely would love a big enough sink that can house the dirty dishes and still leave a slither open for
can
us
wash
to
your hands.
you can wash your hands or brush your teeth without spitting on the dishes. That's
Also,
an essential.
A big sink is brilliant if you just want to wash your face and wash your hair. You can actually
Stink. You can stick your head in the sink.
Yes, you can stick your head in the sink and wash it there.
And yes, I was going to talk to you about curtains. Curtains are real essential, I think, with Vanlife. First off, if you have windows and they're whether they're tinted or not. I mean, if they're not tinted, then everybody can see everything. Is the way they can do the front cap. But if they're tinted, if the sun hits the window, then people can actually see inside. Just a tip. So don't walk around, naked. So curtains can basically prevent people from seeing inside, but also curtains have been a huge help in controlling the temperature in the van. Even just basically a simple thin curtain, the one we have here, is basically just is a cotton on one side and then a blackout fabric on the other, or something.
And same with this curtain. This is the one that blocks the. So the cab is there at the front, and I can tell you when it's 0 degrees outside, the cab we can tell the cab is like just above what the outside temperature is. And then even this, that makes all the difference. It's
a relatively thin curtain without any particular thermal properties, but obviously it's good enough that it stops the draft, and it creates such a big temperature difference. And even in the summer, when the sun was coming through a window and it was just basically heating up the van too much, like to 35-40 degrees too much, just putting the curtain before in the morning before the sun starts coming in through the window, then that just slowed down the heater process so much, drastically, like by hours. Any curtain, make one, buy one, just put it on your windows. Have that option because it's so versatile, and I don't know what we would really do without them. Another really big essential, I think, for van life, and really in life, any life, no matter what kind of lifestyle you pick, is to have a very positive attitude to problem solving. With van life in particular, problems, things to fix, tinkering, seem to occur, I feel like, more regularly, or they seem to be more noticeable in a tiny home, because in a big fix house, you can sort of put your problems to one side sometimes, unless a pipe is bursting and getting everything flooded, or it's something like really drastic that is a bother. Very often you can put a problem to one side because you may have a second bathroom that you can use, or another cooking appliance that you can use. So it's not kind of an immediate problem to fix.
Meanwhile, in a van where you've only got kind of one of everything, if your tap springs a leak or your toilet stops working, then you have to fix it immediately. If
we get a leak in a van, we can't sleep anywhere because our bed is on our heated floor. That's one of our beds. We could sleep on the couch technically, but then if there's flooding in the van and we park with our nose that way, the water's going to flood towards our batteries and our electrics. So all of these, like, is a knock-on effect. Things are really close together. Everything affects everything else.
So when a problem occurs, just having a positive attitude, going, right, well, we need to fix that. What can we do to fix that? Do we have the materials and the tools on hand? Do we need to go and buy something? Yes, no, tinker away. Okay, problem fixed. Cool.
Yeah,
and not being so, it's another thing that we have to do.
It's also good to remind your partner when they are being a pain in the ass and being all doom and gloom, and they should basically cheer up because they're making things 10 times harder. So yeah, positive mindset is actually one of the biggest essentials you could have in any life. So I'll just leave it on that.
Yeah,
and
we'll end it on that.
Let us know down in the comment section what essentials you would pick to have in your tiny home camper van. And I hope you found this helpful and somewhat amusing. Yeah, so see you in the comment section. I don't know why I keep doing that. That's just really weird, guys. That's really weird.
Probably go and check on the cats.
Oh yeah, cats. We just kicked them outside for the video.
Kicked them outside. We put their trackers on, so we know they're here.
They wanted to go outside, okay? But it's still helpful to have them out.